light beings, and welcome to Lena Mystic. This video is about the 15 signs that you may be an empath. An empath normally feels very heavily about the people around them. They enjoy being around people, but it's also very, very draining. So if you feel like this describes you, you may just be an empath. But let's go ahead and get into more detail. The first sign that you may be an empath is you do not like crowds. You almost feel anxiety in them, and it's overwhelming being around a lot of people. And you kind of need your space after being around a lot of people. So let's say you've gone to a concert or something and you just feel done at the end of the day, and a lot of people are like, let's go to the after party, and you're like, no, I need some rest. Or let's even say that after school or after work, you really, really need to rest because it's draining and you almost just don't want to talk to anybody after you're done. As you're also not feeling like talking to anybody, you feel annoyed if anybody is talking to you. And it makes people uncomfortable because they think that you don't like them, but it's more so because you're drained. And a lot of us don't really know how to shield ourselves from all that excess energy as empaths. But a way that you can protect yourself is envisioning a bright light around you as if it's your aura that's protecting your energy and protecting you from letting other people come into your own aura and your own energy. Sign number 2 has a lot to do with randomly feeling a whole lot of emotion. Like, have you ever just went somewhere and you just feel like crying? You're like, I don't know why I'm crying. It's probably because you're an empath. I personally have had an experience with this. I am a psychic medium, so of course I'm an intuitive and an empath. And I don't know, it was just so overwhelming. I was actually at work one day and I was putting the balloons on the shelf. I work kind of retail, kind of. And while I was putting the balloons on the shelf, a woman walked in and I immediately had an anxiety attack. And it was all this breathing heavy and just like I had just ran a mile or something. Come to find out, she had just run all the way there. And it made so much more sense instead of me randomly having an anxiety attack while putting balloons on a shelf. Sign number 3 is sometimes you enter a room and can immediately feel the vibe, and a lot of the time it leaves you feeling like I should not be here, I don't want to be here. You're kind of just sitting to yourself like, I'm not really feeling this vibe, it's not me. Sign number 4 is you know when people are being fake or lying to you. It is like you have this radar, you're just like, I'm done with the BS, don't even lie to me, I'm just walking away. Sign number 5 is that you heavily feel other people's emotions. As they're telling you stories, you're feeling it, you're invested in it, you're crying with them, you're holding their hands and feeling their energy. It's very, very heavy for you, which also tells me that if people are talking to you about very personal things, then you must protect your energy, especially if you're looking into becoming a therapist. And a lot of you will be looking into becoming a therapist or working with people and healing people because you're so empathetic. Sign number 6 is there are just some times where you don't answer the phone, you don't text people back, you don't want to go out, and you let people know that very clearly, like, hey, I don't want to go out. Or sometimes you just kind of ignore text messages and you're like, let me act like I didn't see this because I don't want anybody thinking I'm avoiding them. It's kind of just something you're personally going through, and a lot of us don't really understand it, especially if we don't know we're empaths. But you definitely need time away. It's very good that you're doing that if you are. And a lot of you kind of just overbook yourself and you become even more drained. Number 7 kind of coexists with number 6 because you can overbook yourself because a lot of people will vent to you. Random people literally pulling you aside, crying like, oh my God, I went through this. And you're like, I don't know who you are, but I would love to hear your story. It's just, you basically have this sign on your forehead that says, talk to me. And people will go on and on and on talking about what they're going through because you give them that sense of comfort. Number 8, you probably really didn't fit in a lot, but you understood a lot of people. Number 9, you have issues probably setting boundaries. You don't really know what to say or to cut people off from talking too much, or stop calling you at 10 p.m. because they have some drama going on in their life. And I also see that a lot of people, even if you set boundaries, they kind of jump over those boundaries and think that, you know, they're the only one that can cut off those boundaries, or they're the only one who doesn't have to follow those guidelines. Number 10 is you're always checking up on people. People are rarely checking up on you, asking you how you're doing with the intention to help you. So let's say that someone's just saying, hey, how are you? You're thinking, maybe they're really asking how I am, but they're not really. They're kind of trying to progress a conversation so that they can start speaking more about them. And that happens quite common with you. Number 11 is that people often tell you that you're an old soul, or that you seem older than you actually are, or maybe that you're very mature. And it's because you can relate to so many people. It's almost like you have this wisdom embedded in your brain. Number 12 is that you've witnessed or been a part of a tragedy. A lot of us empaths have to have some way to relate to people, and that normally comes in form of tragedy. Number 13, you take a lot of things personal. If someone says something, it affects you deep, deep down because you don't want to disappoint anybody. Even the people that you don't very much care about, you just don't want to disappoint anybody. Number 14, you understand both sides of every single story. This also makes you very relatable, as we've already talked about before, and it also makes you a peacemaker. And number 15, the last sign is that you avoid conflict. You just cannot deal with it, and sometimes you come off so passive or like a pushover, but it's just because, once again, you don't want to disappoint anybody. But it's definitely time for you to set those boundaries and protect yourself as you're going forward, because you are born as an empath, and a lot of the time we can just let people infect our auras and who we truly are based off of their energy. Be careful with that, and make sure you're protecting yourself as much as possible. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure to like, share, subscribe, and comment down below, and I will see you in another video.